Hello guys, you're welcome to another tutorial on Sew with Abby channel. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, thank you for stopping by. My name is Abigail. Please do not leave without subscribing, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. In today's video, I'll be sharing how to make this beautiful A-line dress with the side lace up. This style is very simple to make, so keep watching guys. Let's get into the video. For this tutorial, I'll be making use of these materials, and for my fabric I have Duchess here, which is about 2 yards and 30 inches. It is not up to 3 yards, and I've folded about 2 yards and some inches into 4. This is the front piece and this is the back piece. I added zipper allowance to the back piece. Now, adding zipper to this dress is totally optional. You can decide not to add to yours. My client wanted a zipper added to us, that is why I'll be adding one. I went ahead to draw a straight line here, which will serve as the starting line or the shoulder line, and it is from there I'll start taking the necessary measurements. The first measurement I'll take is the shoulder measurement divided by 2, then I'll add ½ inch for stitching. Afterwards, I'll measure the neckline. The neck width I want to make use of is 3.5, then the neck depth is 4 inches. Then I'll connect the lines together. Next, I'll come to where I mark the shoulder measurements and come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Then connect the line to the neck area. The next measurement I want to take is the armhole depth. To get your armhole depth, you simply divide your bust measurement by 6, then you add 1.5 inches to it. Now, this is the armhole line, and this here is the chest line. The next thing I want to do is to get the armhole curve, but before then I want to measure the waistline and the other vertical measurements. So from the starting line, I'll place my tape and then measure my waistline, which is 16.5 inches. Next, I'll measure my hip line, which is 25.5 inches. Then I'll draw straight lines across. Next, I'll measure the full length of this dress. The length of this dress is 56 inches, so I'll measure 56 inches, then draw straight line across as well. And the remaining fabric will serve as hem allowance. Again, this is the chest line, the waistline and the hip line. Now I want to get my armhole curve. So on the chest line, I'll measure my bust circumference divided by 4, then come to the armhole line to get the center. I'll mark the center. Then on the point, I'll go in by ½ inch, then bring in my French curve to connect these points together. So guys, this is the front neckline and this is the front armhole. Now I want to measure the back neckline, so I'll come down by 1 inch. That is the depth of the back neckline. And then for the back armhole, I'll connect this point and this point together. Alright guys, we've come to the highlights of this dress, creating where the loops for the side lace up will be. So I'll take waist dart using bust span measurement, that is nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7 inches. On fold it is 3.5. Then I'll add extra 1 inch to that 3.5, making it 4.5 inches. So I measured 4.5 inches there. From the starting line, I'll come down by 13 inches, which is my underbust measurement. That is where the loop will start from. Then I'll retake the 4.5 inches measurement I took at the waistline. Now I'll come to the waistline and come down by 2 inches. That is where the loop will stop. Then I'll retake the 4.5 inches measurement there as well. Now I'll connect these 3 lines together. So guys, the loop starts at the underbust and ends 2 inches below the waistline. The next thing I want to do is to take the round measurement. I measured my bust circumference earlier, so I'll add extra 2 inches, 1 inch for ease, then the remaining 1 inch for seam. Then at the waistline, I'll measure my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch for stitching the darts and the 2 inches I added here, making it 3 inches allowance at the waistline. Then at the hip line, I'll measure my hip circumference divided by 4 plus the 2 inches allowance. Then I'll connect the lines together. Alright guys, now for the hem, I don't need to take any measurements. Remember, we are working on an A-line dress. I'll slightly extend this line to the edge of the fabric. This is basically all for the drafting of this dress. I will extend the armhole line and go ahead to cut it out. I'll be cutting the back armhole and the back neckline before I cut the front. I can now cut the front armhole and the front neckline. Then I'll notch the zipper allowance area. Now I'm going to cut this dart open, and to do that I'll try to clip the front and back pieces with my fingers in order to create a small opening for the scissors to go through. And when cutting on the line, make sure the cut does not go beyond where you mark. After slitting the line, this is what it will look like. Now I want to unpin the front and back pieces, but before then I will pin down the zipper allowance area. So guys, this is what the back looks like, and this is what the front looks like as well. The next thing I want to do is to create loops for the waist dart, and this is the piece I'll make use of. It's about 1.5 inches wide, and the length should be enough for your loops. Now I'll head over to the sewing machine to stitch. I'll fold in the edges like so, fold it again, then stitch all the way to the end. And this is what it looks like after stitching. Now I'll bring in my dress to mark where the loops will be inserted. The first loop will be placed exactly at the beginning of the slit. Then I'll mark 1.5 inch distance all the way to the end of the slit. Please note that you can use whatever inch you want as distance between your loops. In total, I have 4 loops that will be placed here, and the length of each is 3 inches. I'll go ahead now to cut 4 pieces. Now I can start inserting this into the dart. I picked one of the loops, folded it into two, then place it exactly on the first point. Then I use pin to hold it down. The second piece, I folded it into two, place it on the second point, then use pin to secure it as well. I'll do the same to the rest of the loops. Now that this is done, I'll go ahead to do the same thing to the second side of the dart. I'll mark where the loops will be inserted, then place each loop on the point just like I did the other side. And this is what it will look like after stitching. Now I'll head over to the sewing machine to stitch, and then I'll stitch it the same way I will stitch my dart. And when stitching, guys, be careful of the loop at the end and the one at the beginning so it will not fall out. Alright guys, after I was done stitching, this is what the front piece looks like, and this is what the back piece looks like as well. The next thing I want to do now is to stitch the shoulder. After stitching the shoulders, I'm going to stitch the zipper allowance all the way from the hem to stop where the zipper will end. The zipper will end at 22 inches. That is where I will stop stitching. Afterwards, I'll attach zipper. Alright guys, I've stitched the shoulder and I also attached the zipper to the dress. The next thing I want to do is to join the sides. So I'll turn this to the wrong side, head over to the sewing machine to stitch using the 1 inch allowance I left while cutting. I'll join the other side as well. Okay guys, I'm done joining the two sides together, and the next thing I want to do is to work on the neckline, and I'm going to be using this piece to turn it in. Is about 1.5 inches wide. You can decide to use bias instead of using the same fabric. Okay, so this is how I'm going to stitch. I'll first attach this piece to the neckline all the way to the end of the neckline using 1/2 inch measurements. Then I'll cut off the excess fabric there. Afterwards, I'll turn the piece in twice, then I'll stitch it down. Okay guys, I'm done turning in the neckline, and this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to set this aside to work on the sleeve. For the sleeve, I folded my fabric into 4 because I'll be cutting the two sleeves together. Then I will draw a starting line before I measure the length of the sleeve. The length of the sleeve is 23 inches, but then I will add extra 2 inches because I want to use 1.5 for the casing of the elastic, then 1/2 inch to attach the sleeve to the dress, making it 25 inches. I'll mark the 25 inches, then draw a straight line across. Then from the starting line, I'll come down by 5 inches. And from the top here, I'll make a curve to meet the 5 inches line. Afterwards, I'll take my armhole measurement. What I have on the dress is 9 inches, so I'll mark it and then add extra 1 inch for stitching. At the hem here, I'll measure exactly what I have at the armhole, and after inserting the elastic, the fabric will go back to the size of the wrist. Now I will connect these two lines together, then cut out the sleeve. Now that I'm done cutting the sleeves, I'll mark the 1.5 inches I left for the casing of the elastic, then notch it. The next thing to do is to stitch the casing for the elastic, and this is how I'm going to stitch it. I'll fold it in and then stitch all the way to the end, and I will do the same to the second sleeve as well. Alright guys, I'm done stitching the casing and this is what it looks like. Now I can insert my elastic, and the measurement for the elastic I want to use is 9 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead to cut the 9 inches and then insert it into the casing. As you are inserting the elastic, once you notice this end is almost exhausted, pin it down before you continue. Now I will go ahead to stitch. I will stitch the end of the elastic separately before I fold the sleeve together, then close it up using the 1 inch allowance I left for it while cutting. Okay guys, my sleeves are ready, and the next thing I want to do is to attach each of it to its armhole. I will attach it using 1/2 inch measurement. So after attaching to this side, I will attach the other side as well. Alright guys, I'm done attaching my sleeves, and before I hem the down part, I want to show us how I'm going to insert the rope into the loops. I've gone ahead to stitch the rope, and the width I used for the piece was 1.5 inch, and I stitched it the same way I stitched the rope for the loops. Okay, you can see I already flipped the dress such that the side is facing up. Now watch me as I insert the rope into the loops. Now that this side is done, I'll go ahead to do the same thing to the other side. Now the last thing I'm going to do to this dress is to hem this lower part. Thanks for watching guys. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. Kindly give this video a thumbs up, and if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, kindly subscribe, turn on post notification so that whenever I upload new videos you will be notified. See you in my next one.